Most people think they're good at reading others. But the truth is, most people only notice what's obvious. The loud voice in the room, the forced smile, the confident posture. Very few people notice the silence behind someone's words. And the people who do notice more than normal people usually live very different emotional lives. Because once you start seeing what others miss, you can never fully unsee it again. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt tension? Even when nobody was arguing, nobody said anything wrong. Everyone looked normal, but something felt off. Or maybe you've talked to someone who kept smiling the entire conversation. Yet deep down, you could feel exhaustion in their energy. Most people ignore these moments, but some people absorb them without trying. They notice tiny pauses before answers, micro expressions that disappear in seconds. The difference between a real laugh and a practiced one. The emotional distance hidden inside polite conversations. And strangely, these people are often called too sensitive, but psychology suggests something deeper is happening. People who notice more than others usually aren't just observant. Their brains constantly scan for emotional patterns. Not because they want drama, not because they overthink everything, but because somewhere in life, paying attention became emotionally important. Sometimes it develops in childhood. A person grows up in an environment where moods change quickly, where tension appears without warning, where silence means something bad might happen. So the brain adapts. It learns to detect emotional shifts before words even arrive. Over time, this becomes automatic. They start reading energy the way others read text. And even in normal adulthood, that awareness never completely turns off. That's why highly observant people often feel mentally tired in crowded places. Because they're not only hearing conversations, they're processing body language, emotional tone, awkward pauses, hidden discomfort, fake enthusiasm, insecurity, and emotional contradictions, all at the same time. Most people only hear words, but observant people notice what leaks through the cracks between the words. And here's the strange part. The people who notice the most often say the least, because they've already seen enough to understand that not everything needs confrontation. Sometimes they recognize sadness hidden behind arrogance. Sometimes they notice insecurity behind loud confidence. Sometimes they realize someone isn't rude. They're emotionally exhausted. Psychology calls this pattern-based emotional perception. But in real life, it feels more like carrying invisible information nobody else can see. Imagine a simple situation. A group of people are sitting together laughing. One person is joking the loudest. Everyone assumes they're the happiest person there. But someone highly observant notices something unusual. The laughter comes a second too late. The eye contact disappears after every joke. The energy suddenly drops whenever attention moves away from them. Outwardly, nothing seems wrong, but internally, something feels emotionally disconnected. Most people would never notice, but highly observant minds often catch emotional inconsistencies automatically. And the difficult part is, they usually doubt themselves afterward. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe it's nothing. Yet many times, their instincts end up being right. Because human emotions leak, even when people try to hide them. The body reveals stress before words do. Eyes reveal sadness before explanations do. Tone reveals resentment before honesty does. And observant people unconsciously collect these tiny signals. But there's another side to this that people rarely talk about. Noticing more can make relationships harder. Because once you become aware of emotional inconsistency, yes, fake behavior becomes exhausting. Small lies feel louder. Forced conversations feel heavier. Pretended affection feels emotionally empty. While others stay comfortable in surface-level interactions, observant people often crave emotional honesty without even realizing it. Not perfection, just authenticity. And sometimes that creates loneliness. Because they start feeling disconnected in environments where everyone performs emotions instead of genuinely expressing them. Ironically, many observant people become quiet, not because they have nothing to say, but because they realize how much people hide behind ordinary conversations. And after a while, they stop reacting to words alone. They start paying attention to patterns. The human mind is constantly sending signals. Most people simply don't slow down enough to notice them. But highly observant people often notice details even when they don't want to. The hesitation before someone says, "I'm fine." The sudden change in texting style. The emotional distance hidden inside politeness. The fake confidence covering silent insecurity. And over time, this awareness changes how they experience the world. Because they stop judging people only by actions. They begin noticing emotional intention. That's why some observant people feel uncomfortable around individuals everyone else seems to admire. On the surface, the person may appear charming, confident, successful, or kind. But something underneath feels emotionally inconsistent. The smile feels rehearsed. The kindness feels strategic. The attention feels performative. And even if they can't fully explain it, they feel tension internally. Psychology suggests the brain processes far more emotional information than we consciously realize. Tiny facial movements, voice fluctuations, changes in rhythm and energy. Most of this happens below conscious awareness. But highly observant individuals tend to detect those patterns faster and more intensely. Not because they're mind readers, but because their attention unconsciously focuses on emotional detail. Now imagine another situation. Someone enters a workplace every morning acting cheerful. They greet everyone politely. They smile during meetings. They joke during conversations. Everything appears normal, but an observant coworker slowly notices changes. The smiles are shorter now. The pauses feel heavier. The eye contact disappears more often. The energy looks emotionally drained. Nobody else notices anything unusual, but the observant person senses silent burnout, long before the person openly admits they're struggling. This is why emotionally aware people often become the person others unexpectedly open up to, because human beings can feel when someone truly notices them. Not just their appearance, not just their words, but their emotional state. And honestly, that level of awareness can feel both beautiful and painful. Beautiful because it creates deeper understanding. Painful because you start realizing how many people are silently fighting battles they never talk about. You notice the friend who laughs the loudest but never talks about themselves. The person who constantly helps others but looks emotionally empty inside. The quiet exhaustion hidden behind, "I'm just tired." And eventually, you understand something most people overlook. Human beings rarely say exactly what they feel. Sometimes pride stops them. Sometimes fear. Sometimes they've hidden emotions for so long that even they don't fully understand them anymore. That's why emotionally observant people often trust patterns more than promises. Because words can be controlled, but emotional behavior eventually reveals the truth. Still, there's something important many observant people learn too late. Not every emotional signal is their responsibility to carry. Some people notice so much that they slowly absorb everyone else's emotional weight. They become hyper-aware of tension, hyper-aware of disappointment, hyper-aware of sadness, until eventually, they forget to check their own emotional state. And that's the hidden paradox of noticing more than others. The same awareness that helps you understand people deeply can also mentally exhaust you. Because seeing clearly is emotionally heavy, especially in a world where many people survive by pretending everything is okay. But maybe that's also why deeply observant people value rare things so much. Genuine energy, honest conversations, quiet loyalty, authentic emotion. Because once you've spent enough time noticing what's fake, authenticity starts feeling almost unforgettable. And maybe the real psychology behind people who notice more than normal people isn't intelligence alone. Maybe it's emotional survival mixed with deep human awareness. A mind trained to read what others ignore. A person quietly listening to emotions the world never says out loud. And sometimes, the people who understand others the most are the ones nobody truly notices themselves.